Shalom, it's Tehila from the Kefar with our 21st Hebrew verbs lesson, continuing with the PL Binyan present tense. And I'm going to introduce to you another PL conjugation category right after we review what we did in our last lesson. So in the last lesson, we learned about PL verbs whose roots end in a chet or an ayin and what that conjugation pattern looks like using the verb lenatzeach, which is to win. So your first practice verb was lesameach, which is to please or to make happy. As you can see, once we get rid of that initial lamed, we have the last letter of our root as is a chet, simeach, sin mem chet. So with the present tense masculine singular, all you're doing is replacing the lamed in the infinitive with a mem. So we get mesameach, okay, mesameach. And masculine or feminine singular rather is misamachat, masculine plural misamchim, and feminine plural misamchot. Okay, so from lisameach to misameach, misamachat, misamchim, and misamchot. The next verb is levatzea, which is to perform or to execute. Get rid of the lamed, and we get bet tzadi ayin, bitzea, okay? And as you can see, the root ends in an ayin, so we're going to use the same conjugation pattern. So from levatzea, we get rid of the lamed, and we get mevatzea for the masculine singular. And then just like we have mesamachat for the first verb, this is mevatzaat for the second verb. Okay, so mevatzea, masculine singular, mevatzaat, feminine singular. And then masculine plural is mevatzim, and feminine plural is mevatzot. And now looking at all of the PL verbs that we've done so far, side by side, when it comes to the masculine singular, they are almost all the same. The only difference really is with the vav tav verbs. So what you're doing is you're replacing the lamed in the infinitive with a mem. So we go from levashel to mevashel, lesachek, mesachek, lemale, memale, lenatzeach, menatzeach. Okay, where we have the difference here is because we change that vav tav into a hey. So we're still replacing the lamed with a mem, but it also gives us a different ending. So we get mechake instead of mechakot. Okay, and then we have for the feminine singular, mevashelet, so a'e'et, mesacheket, again, a'e'et, and then the last three are sort of different. So we have mechaka, which is the same spelling as the vav tav, but just a different final vowel. Here we have memalet for the verbs where the root ends in an aleph, and then here we have menatzachat, menatzachat. So whereas the first two groups, the regular and the acha, have an a'e'et, like mevashelet, mesacheket, here we have a'a'at, so menatzachat for this past group that we just did. And then the masculine plural is pretty much the same almost with all of the groups. Mevashlim, mechakim, memalim, menatzchim. We see the difference here with the acha verbs. Those are the ones where the middle letter is aleph, hey, chet, or ayin, where there's an additional vowel sound, that additional a sound. And it's the same thing with the feminine plural. So menatzchot, memalot, mechakot, mevashlot, and then we have the additional sound with mesachakot. Okay, so again, these are the 5 groups that we've done so far, our regular PL verbs. And so what we mean by regular, what I mean by regular, is if it doesn't fall into any of the other specific categories, then you treat it as a regular verb. So if the middle letter is a chet, aleph, hey, or ayin, then it falls into group 2, it's an acha verb. If the infinitive ends in a vav tav, then it falls into group 3, it's a vav tav verb. If the root ends in an aleph, it conjugated like group 4, it falls into that category. And if the last letter of the root is a chet or an ayin, then you conjugate it using the pattern that we did in the last lesson, because it falls into the group 5 category. Now, the one that we are going to do today group 6, are PL verbs with 4-letter roots. So if you remember from the Pa'al verb lessons that we did, we came up on a category where there were 2-letter roots. So in Hebrew, generally, roots are 3 letters. And we say generally because clearly not always. Sometimes there are only 2 letters in a root, and sometimes, like in the case that we're going to do now, there are 4 letters in a root. And we're going to use the verb levazbez, which means to waste, to illustrate this pattern. Okay, so levazbez is the infinitive, like we don't want to waste water or to waste money, etc. And you're going to find the infinitive in the same way that you have found it throughout almost all of the PL categories, which is to just get rid of that initial lamed, and you are left with the 4 letters of your root, bizbez. Okay, so levazbez, and we get our root once we get rid of the initial lamed. And so the conjugation pattern is actually going to be almost identical to the regular PL conjugation patterns. The only difference is we are working with 4 root letters instead of 3. And so the regular verb that we did was levashel, which is to cook. And so you replace that levashel with the mem, so we got mevashel, masculine singular. And here it's going to be the same thing, we just have an additional letter. Same thing for the feminine singular, where we had mevashelet. Here we're going to have the same sound pattern, we just have an additional root letter. And for masculine and feminine plural, we have an additional syllable with the addition of an extra shava. So I'll just show you. So for masculine singular, to waste, we have mevazbez. Okay, so from levazbez to mevazbez. Feminine singular, mevazbezet. Okay, so again, same sound patterns as the regular PL verbs, we just have an additional letter. And for masculine plural, it's mevazbezim. Okay, mevazbezim, again with that additional syllable because we have an additional root letter. And feminine plural is mevazbezot. Okay, mevazbezot. So pairing the verbs now with some pronouns. So for instance, he wastes, like he wastes money. Hu mevazbez. Okay, hu mevazbez kesef, as an example. He wastes money. Okay, so that's he is wasting or he wastes. Again, with Hebrew, there's no distinction in the present tense between present progressive and present simple. Okay, so whether it's happening right now, like he is currently at the moment wasting money, or he just generally wastes money or wastes whatever, it's the same conjugation. So if you wanted to say she is wasting money or she squanders money, it's the same verb. He mevazbezet. Okay, he mevazbezet kesef, if you wanted to say she is squandering money. Okay, we are wasting or we squander. Anachnu mevazbezim. Okay, anachnu mevazbezim. We waste or we squander water, for instance. Anachnu mevazbezim mayim. Okay, we are wasting water. And feminine plural, hen mevazbezot. Okay, so they are squandering or they squander or they waste. So hen mevazbezot. Okay, that's feminine plural. So I want to show you, because I have been saying that it's very similar to the regular conjugation patterns. So we have levashel, which is to cook, and levazbez, which is to waste. So the process of finding the root is exactly the same. We get rid of that initial lamed, and we get bishel and bizbez. Now, the process of conjugating it to masculine singular, also exactly the same. We go from levashel to mevashel, and levazbez to mevazbez. Okay, and then from feminine singular, we go from mevashel to mevashelet, and then mevazbez to mevazbezet. Again, exactly the same. Where we see a slight difference, and this is just because we have an additional root letter to work with, is with the masculine and feminine plural. So you see here that the masculine plural, we just have one shava, okay, mevashlim and mevashlot. And with the feminine and masculine plural of the 4-letter root, we have actually 2 shavas because we have we have an additional root letter to work with, and which adds an additional syllable. So here we have mevashlim and mevashlot, and here we have mevazbezim and then mevazbezot. Okay, so mevashlim, mevashlot, מבזבזים, מבזבזות. And now it's time for your exercises. So you're going to use what you learned today about how to conjugate 4-letter PL verbs in the present tense to conjugate these 2 example verbs. So your first one is לשחרר, which is to release or to set free. And your second verb is לערבב, which is to mix. Okay, so these are your 2 verbs that you're going to use, and we will go over them in the next lesson. And just a reminder that there is now going to be a live verb Q&A every month on Patreon, and you can look in the post description for specific details on the exact day and time. And so you will be able to ask any question related to any of the 21 verb videos that have been done so far, or just general verb questions that you have. You can bring them to this session and get them answered in real time. So that's really exciting. And I'm happy that you are watching this video and that you have opted to be a patron, and I appreciate your support, and this is just one way of me giving back. So that wraps up this lesson. Toda latzfiya. Thank you for watching. If you are not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do so. You can follow me. All of my social media accounts are on here. Email me if you have any questions, or you can just leave comments on the post below. So until next time, lehitraot.